Hey guys, the name of today's session is Initiation. We're going to be talking about the initiation from boyhood to manhood. You see, a man, as we talked about these things before, as we said before, a man needs the active intervention of other men, the world of his father, the world of men, in order to become a man from a boy. Men are made, they're not born. Everybody is born. Every male is born a potential man, but only few are made because only few have the environment, the masculine environment. So, the older cultures had this. They still have in some parts of the world. Rites of passage. But they're flawed, they're not perfect. They're still better than what we've got in the West and in Europe. They're still better. The trouble is with them is that the people who initiate you don't often see your heart. And if you show some symptoms, if you keep failing, eventually you might get left behind, and this is not good. Because there is a man down there. There is a fierce, strong man, as able as everyone else. No matter what the mental illness say, or the psychological illness say, or the inability, the physical. I don't buy any of this. Because I work with men. I do this. I see how it happens. There is a man, perfect in his manhood down there. But it will take a lot of work for the damage to be undone and for that man to be finally revealed in all his glory and ability. Now, I've seen many people change, but I'm gonna testify with my own life. I was a boy that was severely limited in many ways. Now, the fear of other boys, fear of men, fear of women, you name it. Fear of competition. The boys who start, come on, let's arm wrestle. And as soon as I feel another boy's manly strength, I just give in. There was this strong, because of my father's personality, this strong disconnection with the world of men, and therefore fear of the world of men. I remember I could never learn how to swim. I had a fear of water. My dad had fear of water. He nearly drowned when he was a boy, so he couldn't teach me and my brother to swim. It's not his fault, but that's true. And as a result, I remember I was 19 and I studied in this university in the city of Varna, and it overlooked the sea, the Black Sea. And every time in the summer, after the lectures or even before that, my mates would say, come on, let's go and swim. And I go there at the beach and I'm looking at the girls and I'm having my beer or hot coffee if it was in the morning. I didn't drink beer that early, just so you know. And people say, come on, George, let's swim. And only few of my closest friends knew actually that I couldn't swim. I was too ashamed, I was too embarrassed because I had an athletic body and I looked confident enough, but I could never swim, and I had this fear that if something happened, I won't be able to swim, so I wouldn't get into boats or doing fun things like that. I just knew in my psyche, I'm 20, I'm 19, it's too late for me, that's it, I'm never gonna swim. And I had this panic attacks. I remember being 10 and having a shower, and when the water would trickle down my face, I started wheezing and feeling this panic things, which kind of really put me off any involvement with water. And yet I love water, I love sea and lakes, especially the seawater. And what happened? I had to start facing my fears head on. Really, it was a painful battle. It was not easy, but not last summer, the summer before, I went and visited one of my dearest friends who lives abroad, and he's got a swimming pool, and he's a very patient, very kind man, and he used to be a PE teacher. He taught me for 1 week. I spent like 6 or 7 hours every day in the pool with him, and we fought through some of this together. He stepped in and he became my father for that week. He fathered me. He was the stronger one and I was the needy child. And he helped me not only overcome the physical obstacles, but also see and overcome the mental and the emotional limitation. And some of that grief that I've been holding had to come out in the swimming pool. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I came back to England knowing how to swim. Being able, 32 years old, learning how to swim. And now I can swim. I'm not the best swimmer, but I don't want to be. I just want to be in the water, and I just want to not have that fear. Oh, what if this happens? I can swim and I can enjoy. I live by the sea. I can enjoy the sea. I can enjoy the water. Mind you, most of the time it's cold, but it's pretty good in the summer. And now I don't mind the cold that much. The excitement is bigger. Another thing was, I always, as I said, like the arm wrestling, I always gave up. I would be pushing to fulfill a task, and just before then, it just gets too much. And the willpower just, there's no will. With pushing myself to do everything, including finishing my education back home. I did the 4 years. Why did I give up just before the end? And I just couldn't be bothered to go back and finish it. My wife did it, because that's why we met. But she went back and she put in the hard work, but just no point. So something in me just wouldn't fight that. And because again, I was not initiated, and I was given the idea that you're a failure no matter what you do. You'll never be like your dad. You're a failure at being a man. You might excel at other things, but at being a man, you're not good. So the little boy that I said, why bother then? Why bother? Why bother doing anything? Just follow the easy road. The road of pleasure and less work and all that. So what happened recently, in fact only a couple of years ago, I signed up with this group of men. I'd never seen these men before, and they did this rites of passage initiation, male initiation, so in the Scottish Highland. I did not know what I was signing up for. That was the whole point, because if I knew, I would not have gone. I signed up, I got some camping gear. I never camped in my life because I was never confident I can do this on my own. I was comfortable for someone else to do it for me, camping and all that kind of driving in the unknown places and all this kind of blazing a trail through life. And I was never that kind of guy, because I never knew I had it. Let's say if we're gonna go to a big city, unknown city, I'll let someone else drive. Why? Why all the danger? What if something happens? No. Because deep down, I knew that I didn't have it. So I let someone else do it. That was my dad's message for me, because that was his dad's message for him. And but I went to the Scottish Highland, and 2 full days and a half, I went through hell. I just couldn't, because it brought me back to school times, to primary school times, when we'll be running in the PE class, and I'll always be the first one to stop. I always had a stitch. My body doesn't responded to my mental attitude, to what my spirit believed about myself. You're a failure, you can't make it. So my body will always find something, genuine pain, stitch or breathing or whatever. So I always stopped, and people always looked at me as if I was a weakling, really. So I always stopped first, and I never finished. I was lucky just to be nominated, as they say, just to participate. That's me, but I give up very early. But when I went to Scotland, these men, we walked up this mountain, and I was feeling like the sweat was pouring out of me, and I was feeling I really wanted to stop, but then thinking, if I stop here, how? I mean, it was almost dark. What's gonna happen? Are they all gonna stop, sit down just for me? I don't know. Will I be the embarrassment of the whole team? So I said, no matter what, I will do my best not to stop. And I didn't stop. And then the next exercise, I didn't stop. And then I didn't stop. When we climbed the steepest hill with a rock on our shoulder, I didn't stop. We went to the top. At the end of this, we actually had to wade through a cold river. That was in April, but up in the Scottish Highland, there's snow still. And we had to strip down to our underwear, and I said, there's no turning back, I'm gonna do this. And I did it, and I felt this joy, which I never felt like a boy, taken out in the fields or driving a car with my dad or something, that father would say, here you go, boy, you can do it, my son. I never felt that joy as a child. All these things, I was kind of locked. I was locked away from them, but I felt this when I was high in the mountain. I felt this release. You say, wow. I went to the frozen river, and in the last day I went to the high mountains, and I did it. I didn't stop, and I did it, and I finally laid that rock down. And it represented all the inner burdens, that I couldn't be a man, that I just was not good enough. And I laid it down, and I just started to cry, and I wept, and I just released all these pent-up emotions, and I looked around. I could see the sea, I could see the island. It was beautiful scenery, and I just felt all the voices of the bullies, the voice of my dad, the voice of my own broken self. I can't. Suddenly, all these things kind of faded in the background, and what came was, yes, you can. Did you see that? Did you see where you've come from? All these miles up that mountain. Did you see? Other people were struggling more than me. I couldn't believe it. Other people struggled more than I did. And that's not about physical fitness, don't get me wrong. If I can run and I'm pretty fit, I go to the gym, but my mental attitude, the body doesn't matter. You can see that, how I used to watch boxing and see Mike Tyson beat people just with his eyes. These people had bodies just as strong as his. Some of them were really, really good kind of warriors, strong warriors, but as soon as they looked at that monster, they say, I'm done. And sure enough, the body follows. So that, I was fearing that this will happen to me, but it didn't. The will finally rose up, and because it was the right time. So I was initiated in many things in my 30s, as I am now. That was not that long time ago. And I'm still being initiated into other things. I'm constantly pushing into new frontiers. And people are being sent my way. Like that friend of mine, there's another friend of mine, there's someone else. And if you're open, people will come your way and they will step in and father you to that initiation. I just want to say that no matter how old you are, and another thing before I forget, DIY things. When we got this flat, I had a friend of mine, Roberto, a very close friend of mine, very manly. He used to be in the army for 3 years, and he's very creative. He's a manly guy, but he's also very creative. He's got a child heart, and that's what makes a real man. He's got it all because he has been fathered, and he was in the army, and he had the tough part and the masculine part and the responsible part, but he also had the creativity. He's a filmmaker, but he knows how to work with his hands. So I asked him to come and paint my flat with me, providing I was with him because I wanted to learn. And he taught me many things. Apart from that, he taught me many practical things. And there is more initiation for you, more. Things that I thought I could never do. That's not for me. My father used to pay people because he was not initiated. But I did it, and I'm doing it now. Many things that were just given me. And there's a lot that will be given you if you only renounce the agreement with that saying, that's not for you, that's not for you. Renounce that. Get rid of it and be open. Open your heart and mind and just ask to be initiated, and you will be. Yeah, you will be.